Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping.
What is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf. We have a great show for you today. We have a ton of stories, and of course, the world keeps turning. So we'll be right back with everything and more right after this.
Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping.
Remember, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research, and of course, the internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Remember, today is a call-in show, so you can call the number. It is 224-400-MARF. That's going to be down below. If you want to get in, it's definitely good to get in on the earlier side. I'll just to talk about briefly, if you're new here, you can actually go to our website and see every single article, tweet, video that we show you here today. We have an archival system, so you can actually go and look and see where it is coming from. Now, one additional thing that I want to update you guys on that's really, really exciting is Dex has also been taking the transcripts over to each show. Why this matters is because if I say, I believe in 2022 there will be an asteroid hit, you can remember what I say, then type that into our search bar at the top, and it will actually bring you to that episode, or it will show you what episode I said that. Or say if I talk about something really weird and that's what you remember about the show that you liked, say you can talk about, West African rhinos. If you type that into our search bar, it will actually show you the episode we talked about West African rhinos. Is that amazing or what? The reason why that's important is because we are going to be making some predictions that I believe, again, they're not really predictions on our side, but for you, they'll be predictions, right? As far as our military group and the things that we're told, we're going to be putting that out there. And then 6 months, a year later, when it comes true, we can actually reference that. So again, you can click on this. We were told to prepare, and then darkness here. And then, of course, this has all of the links, so you know exactly where your news is coming from. We do this, again, so you can actually go back later and read it if you'd like. And then, as well, there are additional things there if you would like to continue going down. There's web-only content, all sorts of great stuff that we can't share here on the show. Dex, are you there? And how are you doing today, my wonderful co-host?
Hey, well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So again, if you want to support us in any way, over on the right side of any page is our support side, or I guess our support bar. You can purchase any of our affiliates' products, or you can go to PayPal or Amazon link. It's all over there if you want to go above and beyond. Speaking above and beyond, I hope that everybody is really doing well tonight. It is definitely stressful for a lot of people out there, and I know this. I'm getting tons of DMs from everybody. Basically, there's so many things going on, but on a personal level, I know that a lot of you have a lot of pain right now. Some of you are dealing with cancers. Some of you are dealing with family members passing away. I just want to say bless you for today, and again, there's not much we can do. It's like you got to roll with the punches. As far as Havana, Cuba, we've been talking about this for the last couple days. Of course, Cuba is supposedly in this state of kind of limbo, and there's protesters, and they're tired of everything, and they're saying they're tired of the famine, tired of the hunger. It is a communist party, so they are basically pushing back. It says that police patrol Havana in large numbers after rare protests. Remember, this isn't the kind of thing that happens there. It might happen in Hong Kong or somewhere else, but it doesn't happen in Cuba, because in Cuba, they actually pull out the sticks, and they don't really get in trouble if they hit you with them. It says large contingents of Cuban police patrolled the capital of Havana on Monday following rare protests around the island nation against food shortages and high prices amid the CV crisis, right? It's crazy that even there is, obviously the manufacturing of everything is slowing down, right? Cuba's president said that the demonstrations were stirred up on social media by Cuban Americans in the United States. Oh, so you're saying that Florida man did it, right? No, but on a real note, they're saying that this was started online. So somebody is stirring the pot, possibly CIA or somebody else, who knows? Again, you look throughout history and you see almost all of these things are not organic. They are made or they are, put on by something. And this is just my opinion. Again, we have seen throughout history that there have been major world-changing events that start out with even just a couple people or a couple of very, very talented CIA agents that go in and change something or take out somebody or something. Even as stupid as I remember there was a story in the 70s of a guy who basically changed a name on a hotel roster, and because it was somebody illegal that wasn't supposed to be in that country and they used that as proof, they almost went to conflict over it. That was done by a CIA member, and the guy wasn't even at the hotel. So there's like things like that. There's millions of things going on around the planet. We try to focus on what we can right here. Cuba, why is it important? Because, well, apparently we're going to get involved and other people are going to get involved, or at least that's what they're preparing us for. It says many young people took part in Sunday protests in Havana, which disrupted traffic until police moved in after several hours and broke up the march when a few protesters threw rocks. Again, Cuba is going through the worst economic crisis in decades, along with the resurgence of the CV as it suffers the consequences of U.S. sanctions imposed by former Pres DT's administration. So they're apparently saying that it's because of that, right? The demonstrations in Havana and other communities around the tightly controlled country marked some of the biggest displays of anti-government sentiment in decades, and authorities appeared determined to put a stop to them. Internet service was also spotty, possibly indicating an effort to prevent protesters from communicating with each other. I'm actually surprised they even have internet there. There's a lot of places in Cuba that are pretty old school still. I mean, some say that, Dex, wasn't Cuba always the place where you went and it was almost like you went back in time because a lot of their car manufacturers were behind because they were cut off from the rest of the world for a long time. So if you went there just even a few years ago. Yeah, and they had
all these old cars because they didn't have newer cars. So all these 50s and 56 Chevys and stuff like that. Yeah, right?
you would see like 10 Bel Airs parked along the street because they had all of these different cutoffs from the world, and they had what they had when that started. And it was like they just kept fixing old cars. So you would see all these 50s and I would guess just 50s cars and before all floating around. That was why, like even in Grand Theft Auto, they did like a little Cuba, Miami part where it was all these old cars. That was inspired by Cuba. What a trip Cuba is in general. But we'll see what this is. How does it play a part into the world news? We're still figuring that out because who knows what this is actually trying to accomplish here. And then we have the mayor of Miami on Cuba. That option is one that has to be explored. What? It says Miami Mayor Francis Suarez appeared on Fox News Tuesday after offering suggestions on the United States should respond to the unrest in Cuba, where tens of thousands of protesters have risen up against the communist regime. It says Suarez told Fox News anchor Martha McCallum he thinks military options should be on the table. Really? Okay. It says it's difficult for any official, Republican or Democrat, to not take a side of the Cuban people when they see images of people risking their lives protesting in the streets. So already sounds like whatever pictures we're getting, it seems like you would think that those are pictures they want us to have. I'm surprised, again, that Cuba has not set up a system that, heavily filters their internet, considering how many years they spent completely isolated from most of the Western, countries. It says, what should be contemplated right now is a coalition of potential military action in Cuba, similar to what has happened in both administrations, in both and Democrat administrations, and with Bush in Panama. They deposed Noriega, and that country had peaceful democracy for decades. And you had interventions by a president taking out Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. It's a sovereign country where they took out a terrorist and saved probably thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of lives, or supposedly took him out. Again, they apparently dumped him in the water, and so nobody would have a martyr spot. And then he ended up back in Miami as a Florida man, just shaved his beard, and they were like, call it a day. Anyways, that's just my theory. And President Clinton in Kosovo intervening in a humanitarian issue with airstrikes. Oh, so they're hungry? Bomb the shit out of them. So there have been many, many opportunities in the history of. It says that McCallum says, are you suggesting airstrikes in Cuba? He says, what I'm suggesting is the option is one that has to be explored and cannot just be simply discarded as an option that is not on the table, Suarez responded. And there's a variety of ways the military can do it. But that's something that needs to be discussed and needs to be looked at as a potential option in addition to a variety of other options that can be discussed. It's like, just go straight to bombing, right? Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat.
Yeah, that's a crazy concept. I mean, especially coming from, a mayor. I guess I understand he's probably has heritage and has a lot of insight to the plight and the struggle and everything, right? But yeah, that's pretty strong statement to take.
I mean, like, just to jump to, hey, we should discuss, airstrikes. I guess what are they going to do? They're going to say, oh, okay, here's a bunch of food now. Please don't, strike us anymore. I guess. Is that how it works? Is that how it worked in Kosovo? Is that how it worked in the other scenarios that they've done that in? I don't know.
Well, and I heard they're even warning people not to travel there and not to travel from there. But then there's also a lot of people that are actually thinking in Cubans in America that are thinking, oh, maybe we should go back and help.
Well, obviously, if people see the stories, what I see is manufactured feelings, right? And of course, if you support the Cuban people and you are saying, how could you not support these people? They're starving, they're hungry. Then that's okay. That's great. You're a normal person. But what I'm saying is how much of this is manufactured? How much of this is put in place to make you feel that way? Are there very specific pictures of, I haven't seen this one yet, but there's been the same kind of picture with like 4 different countries where it's a little kid and he's holding on to a rescuer's arms and reaching out and saying hungry. It's like, of course that's going to tear you up. One thing, though, is that they've used that same picture of the same girl from like Pakistan for like 4 different countries. And it's like that's a picture that makes you feel a certain way. Are they doing that with this? I don't know. Because, again, how much coverage do we have in Cuba? It's not like we have a Cuba news or something. We should go and check in with Cuba Gooding. But he's a junior. I guess we should check with his dad. Exclusive Cuban activist explains what's really motivating the Cuban people's uprising. It says an uprising in Cuba has captured international headlines after pro-freedom demonstrations broke out late Sunday and quickly went viral. Thousands of Cubans took to the street to call for freedom and protest against the communist regime that controls the country's population and economy with an iron fist. It says thousands of Cubans marched on Havana's Malecon promenade and elsewhere on the island Sunday to protest food shortages and high prices amid the CV. Which, if you think about it and you know a lot, then you're like, okay. In one of the biggest anti-government demonstrations in memory. It says in #Cuba, thousands took to the streets to protest against the government, chanting down with the dictatorship. We are not afraid. Long food lines and critical medicine shortages have fueled anger, another failure of communism to deliver. It says, watch as Cubans went. That's actually quoting a picture there. It says, however, in the U.S., discussion and coverage of the protest quickly diverged among ideological and political lines. Many mainstream media outlets, government officials, and social media companies like Twitter framed the protests not as rejections of socialism and authoritarianism, but as demonstrations regarding the CV and lack of V availability. Really? So
that's an interesting take, right? It's like a spin.
That's the largest spin there is. So remember, there's quite a few people that are actually openly and proudly saying that this is the right way to do things. Here, even they say that this is the right thing to do, that it is actually something they believe in, and this leads to all sorts of other things, right? And of course, we cannot have them saying, hey, these are pushback against that system instead of pushback against, hey, it's all because of the prices and the CV and all that. Just saying, it's another way to look at it. It says the B administration is, and this is their quote, line, that the Cuba Libre movement is about the V and CV. Pass it on. So what do you think? The people there are saying a whole lot different. They're saying different things than what, of course, is framed and cropped out on Twitter. Remember, Twitter is so strong when it comes to countries. To put this into perspective, I don't know if Dex, I forget if somebody in the chat can tell me what documentary this was. It was about Saudi Arabia, and how 8 out of 10 people in all of Saudi Arabia are on Twitter. Now, you're like, who cares, right? Well, I think it's 3 in 10 here in the United States are on Twitter. 8 in 10 are there in Saudi Arabia. And they actually rule things in a lot of ways, but they use Twitter as ways to do this. And remember, the people at the very top of the oil chain are, intertwined in the entire, world system. And of course, they are kind of part of this puzzle. And they get things done through Twitter. Not to mention, there are millions of employees. We know at least 1 million just from China that are there to spark things, to start things, to get movements going, to make us think that, all these people. I mean, think about that. If 1 million people go to Twitter at the same time, and again, these are on payroll, and say, hey, this is an issue. If you see 1 million or let alone 1,000 people talking about something, Twitter is going to pick that up and it's going to go to the top of trending. Now, when you have all these different countries having their own teams of hired people go to the internet, they can poll and prod what is actually happening and what is actually being talked about. There's a lot of this going on right now. And of course, this very well could be because some senator somewhere or some oil tycoon wants something from Cuba, and they've got to do all this crazy stuff to get the world or somebody on their side to do something or come in here or take somebody out. I have a prediction, though. Who knows? Maybe that current leader of Cuba might just randomly pass or something. Who knows? By the way, are they doing the V or are they not doing the V? Can we find that out? Because it would make sense if they weren't, for them to stir things up there. If that's what they say that they're complaining about.
I think they're doing it, and they either have their own or they're probably using one of the ones from one of their allies, like Russia.
I would love to see that, right? They didn't take the big guys ones. Anna's Lily Mom, thank you. That is huge. Okay, Anna's, I hope that was not an accident. Thank you for your massive support. It says, great job, stay safe. Anna's Lily Mom, thank you so much, and I appreciate you. Again, you're more than just Lily's mom. You're Anna. Thank you. And then Troy Freesey, thank you so much for subscribing. Diane Moses, thank you so much for being the first one in tonight and supporting. And then Texas Janet Garden and Prep, again, appreciate your support. Will Wilson, Stephanie Montgomery, and Veronica Powers of 9, Busy Gal, and Rita Schwexnader. Thank you guys for supporting Independent. So what do you think? Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thought on this. Again, the number to call is 224-400-MARF if you would like to call now. In a second here, we're going to get to Chinese nuclear scientists urge readiness for an electromagnetic pulse attack. We'll get into that in just a second here. And then let me pop over and see if it looks like we have a first-time caller. I love Dachshunds, been in the audience for a very long time. And she's calling from Georgia. So let's get I Love Dachshunds on. And then again, if you want to be the next caller, call in at 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-006273. And then Dex, if we can, possibly look up what that was. Hello, I Love Dachshunds. You're live on Marfoogle News.
Well, how are you doing, Marf?
I'm doing great. It's nice to finally meet you. I've seen you in the chat for a long time. If we can, though, just make sure that you have me off in the background if I'm on a TV or anything.
I've got you off in the background. Dex and I discussed this already. I know what feedback's like, and I know how bad it can be on someone with headphones on.
All right, perfect. So, thank you.
I wouldn't do that to you.
Well, so what is going on?
Not too much. I think it was 2 nights ago we had some kind of, some articles that were kind of on the paranormal side, and I had said, I made the comment in chat that, one of these times if we ever have a paranormal type, subject come up to where we could discuss it, or you're having a special show, that I'd bring it up. But I figured I wanted to call you and say hello to you, see how you, Mrs. Marf, and the Marfettes were doing, and say hi to all y'all and tell y'all how much I appreciate the show.
Well, I love Dachshunds. You don't have to wait for a show like that to tell your story here. Thank you for asking about the family. Obviously, we had 2 little ones that were sick, and they are recovering. One of my daughters, though, still has this weird kind of face thing, so we're trying to figure that out.
No.
So, but besides that, we're Children's Hospital was amazing, and those people are really great. So what was your experience, though?
They are terrific. Well, I had been a Rosicrucian for a long time, which, of course, as you know, it kind of, in a way, parallels Masonry type belief, but at the same time it doesn't. They both came up as separate organizations. Well, I didn't know. When I joined, I was in my very early 20s, and I was interested in New Age and all that. And so I started getting into it, and I had been in it for like 20 years by the time I stopped.
Wait. So you were a Mason?
Studying.
Is that right?
I was a Rosicrucian.
Okay, and that's kind of a similar thing, right?
Right, exactly. They have the same type of base and beliefs, and only I believe that they're more male-dominated at the Masons. The Rosicrucian seems to, I guess they seem to look like they're spreading it out among both the women and the men. How much they really are, I don't know, because I don't know the difference in the monographs that the men get and the women get. I just know what the women were getting at the time. But I started practicing out of body, trying to actually do it, meditate, get out of my body. And I remember the first time I tried it, and I was in my mid-20s, and I guess I didn't realize that my spirit was going to be able to go through the ceiling, because it's like I stopped myself at the ceiling, and I was like, this is going to hurt. And then I went, well, wait a minute, I can go through this thing. So I started really getting good at it, and I was doing it on a regular basis. out of the clear blue sky, one night I was in Philadelphia. I was visiting my cousin. It was Christmas time. And I swear I know my eyes were open because I remember looking at the windowsill where she keeps the ceramic Christmas tree. And it's like all the older Italians have it. So, this Christmas tree is kind of one of my favorite things that she has. And so I remember seeing it, and I could have sworn my eyes were open, and I thought I was laying on my stomach, and I had a spirit trying to get into my back area. It was as if, as I was trying to get out, it was trying to go in. So at that point, I wasn't about to let my body go. I figured, well, if this thing's going to get in and it doesn't feel like it's real friendly, maybe I better stick around and kind of protect it, So it happened to me like 2 times after that. And this was not done deliberately. This happened spontaneously. Scared me good enough that I actually stopped doing it. But it's real. The paranormal stuff they're talking about is very, very real. And the extra dimensionals they're talking about are very, very real. So don't discount them. I wish more people would listen to you.
Well, there's a lot of different viewpoints in the audience, and I actually had to look up. So, what you said that you were a part of for a while was Rosicrucianism. Is that right?
Yeah. Originally, it was started by Sir Francis Bacon in England, and I don't know if it was the identical same organization, but when it came over to the United States and became what they called AMORC, AMORC, which are the abbreviations for it. And it's the Ancient Mystical Order Rosicrucis. So it is a Rosicrucian order, and I don't know if they could even take the name of Rosicrucians if they were not associated, but I don't really know. You could get on their website. They've got a website because they're based in San Jose, California. And they've got a huge museum that's all Egyptian. I guess it's copies of hieroglyphics and that are in actual, temples in Egypt, and different artifacts that are reproduced.
Yeah, it says
from the real one.
On the Wikipedia, it says, quote, the following statement: our origins are Egyptian, Brahmanic, derived from the mysteries of Eleusis and Samothrace and the Magi of Persia. Either way, that's a whole nother show. But one question I have to ask for you is, I don't know if that had a similar system to where the Masons were all kind of normal up until where you got up to the very, 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 very top. And once you get to the top, that's where I do think that there's a lot of people that are Masons that are low on the tier that don't even know what they're doing above.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't think that it existed until I got to a certain degree in the order. And once you get to that degree, you're instructed that you are not to tell anyone else in the order itself. And if you go to temple or to any of the services or anything like that, you're not allowed to tell anyone what degree you are once you hit that degree and go beyond. You're allowed to say, I'm above the 10th degree, and that's all you're allowed to say. So, yeah, I didn't know that it existed until it happened.
That is really freaky. The whole thing. So the normal people that get education through a regular school system, they do not look that stuff up. It's not something they show you in school. You might see it as some stupid thing on History Channel, and it's in the same kind of attitude with the same music as, UFO crop circle shows, or Jesse Ventura and Harp is, they make it look so goofy that you think it's one of these goofy conspiracy theories. But in real life, when you get up to that, level, you're talking about these people memorize these sayings and these weird things and these weird traditions that are hundreds of years old. And it's an actual secret society, and people do not believe it. People don't believe that there is evil above regular people. They just don't get it.
Also, they don't realize there's power in words. So when they do memorize these old incantations, in actuality, what you're doing is you're reciting magic.
That is
and
so weird.
I mean, the real magic.
Well, and most of the people in the Masons are successful because they've got this network of these, successful people, and if you're in it, then they, it's like, oh, we take care of our own, but also, it's like they're just weirdly successful. I mean, look at all the presidents that have been Masons. Like, that's freaky to me. And you want to tell me that they're not all kind of somehow related and this and that? I mean, what are the odds that almost every president would be a Mason? That's like you're picking out of one
and
group.
Also, think about their last names and stuff. If you really knew what most of the senators and congressmen and all them, who they were actually related to, every single one of them be related to each other. And almost every president, or except for one, has all been related back to the to English nobility, royal family.
My buddy in high school, and it was when the 1 year that I went to a private school to try to catch up. My aunt sent me to this private school, and I went to school with the son of. Actually, I played basketball with the kid of the Charles Schwartz the guy that owns Starbucks. And then this big realty company, this kid Grant, and again, his mom owned all these realty companies and stuff. And one thing, he was named after Ulysses S. Grant or whatever, one of the presidents. That was his grandpa, and his whole family was just absolutely filthy rich. And I was like, well, how did they get this position? And this is the same friend I've talked about. That has basically was paid through school, didn't do any work, drank every Friday, even back in freshman year, just drank and wasted all the time, and didn't go to any classes, missed everything. His parents would do a $200,000 donation to the board, and boom, he graduated and went to some, nice school. It's like there's people like that pay their way through, and that was what bugged me. In fact, about a year ago, I talked about that. It's like these families are so connected. It's scary. It's like they don't have to do anything, and they're loaded, and they will get a nice. They'll get a nice job. They'll get everything.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is, back in Italy, all of my ancestors, all my grandparents were all from Italy. One of them was born in the United States. The other one came over when she was 15 months old. The grandfathers both, of course, were born in Italy too. And my great-grandmother, who was my father's mother's mother, her maiden name was Conti. And in Italy, from what I understand, Contis are descendants from counts and contesses when it was the regiones that are little paeses they've got all over Italy. Those were all little kingdoms, and counts and contesses actually ran them for whoever the regent was that slayed that area and took over and so on. But my great-grandmother was part of that family. And on top of that, she belonged to a certain group of, witches, I guess you could call them. They're Italian witches, and they're supposed to be very powerful. But my great-grandmother never talked about that at all. My grandmother mentioned it once or twice about the coven, but other than that, I kind of blew it off. But my great-grandmother, she was a Conti, and when she went to marry my great-grandfather, that was the marriage that wasn't arranged, and her parents flat out told her if she were to marry him, that would be it. She was cut off, and she never had another word with her family again. She came to the United States and never saw her parents again, never saw her sisters, brothers, anybody, because they were that strict about marrying outside of the people they wanted you to marry.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's kind of frightening.
That means that exactly. You go outside the family, you're never getting in. You've gone outside the circle, and the secrets are now out. They're all. I'm telling you, I think there's a lot of even people that are all related, that's technically kind of like incest, you know? It's like you should be getting outside of your own family. You know what I mean? But I love Dashians.
I think that's why they wanted the arranges, you know, the arranged marriages. I think that's why they wanted those, is to keep the bloodline going.
Exactly.
So,
well, and even if it's
anyway.
not the direct family, it's somebody from a tier down from way, way up that was family. So I get you. I love Dashians. We went way over time, but very interesting call. Thank you so much. And I've seen you in chat for, I don't know, 2 years. So I just wanted to talk to you, and I really do like getting to know you guys, and I appreciate you being in the show almost every night. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate what you and Dex do, what the wives give up because the husbands are on the air for as long as they are. But we really do. I know I appreciate it because it brings my spirits up. At least I feel like, you know, I got a one-up, you know, because I'm listening to Marf. And I talk about you all the time to just about anybody that'll hear me so that I can get some more listeners in there. But thank you again for what you guys do, too. I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I love Dashians. What a pleasure to speak with you, and what a crazy history you've had. So thank you, and be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. I'm kind of surprised I didn't hear about these other ones, but I'm pretty sure I knew that there was other kind of things like the Masons. I'm sure that there was multiple different kind of cultures that went off into these secret kind of fraternities. But like she said, it's like up until a certain level, it's normal. That's why I met these dummies that were lower. Like back when I used to do, bar security, and I was a bartender. I mean, I moved up the ranks of these bars back in my early 20s. It was like I met these guys that were going to the UW, and they were all Masons, but these guys were just dummies. And I'm like, I mean, these are the kind of guys that, you know, just like straight up one would fart on the other, and they would think that was funny jokes. And these guys are like 25, you know, getting their masters and things. And it's just, it's that kind of thing, right? They've skated through, or they've had family pay for them to get, you know, basically handouts. Or if they're failing in something, somebody talks to the professor and, oh, well, maybe you need a new lab. Oh, do you need some new equipment? Oh, okay. Well, my son needs to pass. It's like that kind of people. But these guys were saying that they were lower end Masons, and it sounded like they were just complete dumbasses. So I think it is. It's like they don't know what they're getting themselves into, and slowly they train these Masons by the things that they memorize, by the things they incant or whatever, and then slowly they get up to this point where they're completely brainwashed, just like any other group that is disciplined. And again, it's crazy. Once you get up to 33rd degree or whatever it is, it's like then you have to basically denounce all religion, that kind of stuff. Like, what the hell? They say that that's a myth, but I don't think so. Great call. Thank you so much. Again, just absolutely insane stuff. Before we get to this, I do want to make sure you guys know, because so many people ended up talking about the last sale and how they missed it. EMP Shield has made another one that's just almost as good. Basically, it's $20 on top of our $50 off. Remember, if you didn't know about our show, it would just be $20 off, but you actually get $50 off on each EMP Shield, plus whatever sale that they're doing. So you can combine that. In fact, on this sale, it goes up to $50, I believe, depending on how many you get, on top of our 50. So you, again, get if you get multiples, you can get anywhere from 20 to 50 off. If you do not have protection against this, I would highly hold out for one of the, try to wait until there's a giveaway or something. I hope that everybody ends up protecting themselves with this. If you guys know my view, this is, again, something I think that the government should have as a requirement. If you sell a house, it's got to have running water, it's got to have, running electricity, and it has to have an EMP shield. That's what I think. But until then, I think that we are helping people, and I truly think that this will eventually save lives. What it does is it grounds the signal before an EMP or multiple EMPs. Remember, it comes in pulses. It could go, 40 times. Again, this grounds it before it can fry your device, fry your car, fry your generator, fry your solar system, fry your house, your RV. Again, the most important one probably is the car device, because if you are out somewhere, if you're at work and an EMP hits and then you're stuck, that's a big deal. Or motorcycle, again, it's like you're going to be stuck. This, again, is the same company that is working with agencies like DOD, DHS, and, of course, DEMSO on the Texas grid. So you can't get much better references than that. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. That way, this helps us and we help you. We get you a giant discount, which we were their second affiliate. They didn't even have really public customers other than the government contract. So we're grandfathered in, and I think only one or two other people are grandfathered in on some of the stuff. So make sure to do that, because it helps us and it helps protect you. Again, that's a win-win, I think, for everybody. We are independent media. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. You guys are our backbone. Speaking of our backbone, Kate Paul, thank yous from Canada, says hi. Ilea says, I'm listening to a book right now called Freemasons for Dummies. It's super fascinating. Much love, Foogle fam. That's funny, because those guys in the bar probably were reading the same thing. Let's see here. Tracy Neal, thank you for subscribing. Salute and welcome to the Foogle fam. Treheje, thank you so much for joining. Aunt Pele, Lisa Hins, thank you so much for subscribing. All sorts of new subscribers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Can't say thank you enough. Before I don't want to skip this here. Dex, we're going to be talking about Chinese nuclear scientists. I know that you're getting probably the callers lined up, but feel free to pop in on this one, because this is what we were talking about before the show. Chinese nuclear scientists urge readiness for electromagnetic pulse attack. It's like I keep saying it's like a bad B movie that you can see what's going to happen next. China should bolster its defenses so that critical infrastructure could withstand potential future. Withstand potential, I want to say failure, but it says future. The United States is vulnerable to damage caused by extremely powerful electromagnetic pulses, but by 2032, it will have built up the capacity to protect its vital infrastructure from such an attack. So, just to reiterate this last part, we are not going to be protected against an EMP until 2032. That's a while away. It is now 2021. So it's going to take them 12 years, 13 years to do this. That's kind of crazy. Or 11 years. It says that according to the Chinese researchers' assessment, based on their analysis of recent U.S. government and military documents. So this is using our own documents. That could tip the strategic balance among world powers, requiring China and Russia to step up their defenses to guard against a potential U.S. attack, they said. The U.S. military has realized that the tactics it used on countries such as Iran and Yugoslavia are not suitable for competition against major powers, especially China and Russia. That was, of course, Fan Hangliang and colleagues from the Northwest Institute of Nuclear Technology in a paper published on domestic journal Modern Defense Technology last month. It says Japan, U.S. hold joint military drills, including cyber warfare training, as concerns about China grow. Quote, the U.S. military believes that EMP attacks could be combined with other types of attacks, such as the explosion of a nuclear weapon at high altitude could produce strong electromagnetic waves. Although power lines and communication towers have shields against common disturbances such as lightning, there is known limit to their tolerance. An EMP boom can breach the protection in civilian facilities and cause massive blackouts. It could be particularly effective weapon against if used against China, according to Fang and colleagues. Such a boom, and I'm saying that on purpose to could sidestep some of the controversy attached to nuclear weapons because of the electromagnetic pulses would do little harm to the body. It says, quote, they do not directly kill humans. They cause only minor collateral damage, they said in the paper, but they can threaten the security and stability of an entire region or country. Now, from the facts that we know, if this happened, if we did have a full and large-scale failure, and this applies to anybody in the UK or in Australia, just remember that, we're the front of the boat here, and it can happen to any country, and it will happen to all of our allies if it happens to us. You're talking about 90% would perish just because of the access to water. And it could take anywhere from 9 months to 2 years to end up building it back up again, which is kind of crazy to me. Dex, did you realize they say that it would be 9 months to 2 years to replace everything? Why is it going to take us 11 or 12 years to get everything hardened?
Well, I think that stat may be a little old because it's when it was published. When that stat, I've seen that stat quite a bit before, but it really depends on what they're hardening and how they're doing it. There have been technological advances that have come out that they're starting to roll out. We know, just to talk about our, affiliate, they work with a lot of that, and they do a lot of the hardening for, DoD and DHS and other places. So there's lots of things that are going on, but I imagine, and I don't know, because I don't actually go do this work, but it's probably a lot of facilities. And when you think about the grid, it's even a lot more challenging for what they're doing there to harden that and prevent that from having a catastrophic failure. It'll have a failure, but it's one thing if something like that happens and the grid goes down and it takes us 2 years to get it back. It's a lot better if it goes down and it only takes us a couple of months to get it back, or even 30 or 45 days to get it back. That's while that's still extreme, that's still pretty bad for the population, but it's not nearly as bad as, say, something like 2 years, right? That would just be that would be insane.
Now,
Right?
I don't think that too many people are aware of this, but China has the largest power grid in the world. In fact, it has, in 2019, 2 years ago, this is 2 years ago, it produced almost as much electricity as the U.S., India, Russia, and Japan combined. That's because they are mass producing pretty much everything across the planet. You're talking about these are the people that make all of the stuff that we use. Everything that you buy, and especially how our culture is now, is you buy things on the cheap. 99% of us are not in that 1%. So we are buying, we don't have the money to buy the nicer things. You're buying the cheaper furniture, the cheaper this, the cheaper that. It's all made in China. And if it's not, the pieces are made in China and then they assemble it here. It's unbelievable. I don't even want to know how much of, what is in my house right now has been made in China. But I assume a lot of my furniture, I assume everything. That, again, is their specialty. They manufacture. That's why I've been warning everybody in the Foogle fam, be prepared, because they are mass producing technology that they stole from us, and they are making the world's largest army, the world's largest navy, which is already accomplished by 100 ships they've got us beat. They are creating the largest submarine fleet, and it's crazy. It's like, well, we have so many more than them. They actually just said that they will have more than us in as little as like a year and a half. How? They're mass producing, and part of that is shown in their energy usage. Look at this. And we're worried about Bitcoin using Dex. Shouldn't China be like outlawed? I mean, they're worried about Bitcoin using too much power, but look at what China's doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's all different ways to look at the hypocrisy that can go on here with that and with power. But the other thing that's worth noting here about this type of about EMP technology, whether it's we're creating it and they're worried about it, or they're creating it, or even NK and others, right, are creating it and we're worried about what can be done. But there's all sorts of ranges with this, just like with a CME. When a CME happens, there's lighter ones that don't do much damage. There's some that maybe just mess up some satellites. And then there's really serious ones that can, light up all the wires everywhere and cause, fires like they did back in the Carrington event. The same thing can happen with EMPs. There can be these really large, upper atmosphere blasts, or there can also be what's called non-nuclear EMPs, where they're much more targeted and smaller. And the point is that these things can happen and be used in a way that, if they're not as large, may not be as catastrophic. So they could be used more tactically. Like, you may have power outages in a small area or a regional area, and it may not be something that, takes 2 years. So it's not completely catastrophic, but from a military point of view, it becomes something that you could actually, use to your advantage. You could knock the power out, go back in, and then be able to not have complete chaos, because you could bring things back up later, right?
Oh, no, and by the way, this is the scariest quote out of this whole thing. The winner is not who attacks first, but who recovers first.
Exactly.
Just to repeat that. The winner is not who attacks first, but who recovers first. That's stating that, hey, they do it to us, we'll have it done to them before the end of the day. But if they recover faster, they win. And it says, if a blackout happens, and this is China speaking, we will be able to rebuild our networks faster than our competitors in the U.S., said the researcher who requested not to be named because he was not authorized to speak to media. So, the writing is more than on the wall. It's a glowing billboard scrolling across. And when that turns off, everybody's going to go, what happened? It's all right in front of you. And I used to be afraid to tell people because I think that I'm crazy. But now we have military telling us this. We have so many Foogle fan members in positions that are helping prepare for this. People that are in wiring and we have electricians telling us that there's massive demand for redoing their systems to encompass these EMP devices, both EMP Shield and their competitors. It's crazy. They're literally working overtime. Companies lined up down the street with clients. And speaking of lined up down the street, I wonder if they're doing an open casting call for the suspects here. It says Pentagon considering military intervention in Haiti following the what's the worst nation in the world? Just to point this out, literally it's ass. I've never noticed that. It's ass a nation. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby confirmed Monday that the department is reviewing a request from the interim government in Port-au-Prince for U.S. troops. The Defense Department is considering some form of military support in Haiti as the impoverished island, which they had to put that, continues to reel from the ass a nation of its embattled president. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby confirmed Monday that the department is, quote, reviewing this, and it says interim Haitian Prime Minister Claude Joseph raised the idea of the U.S. military support in a phone call on Wednesday with the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. A senior official initially told Reuters that the B administration had no plans to provide U.S. military assistance at this time. Now, one thing I want to point out here is, if you don't know anything about Haiti and this is your first show in a week or two, they said that it was basically this gentleman who actually filed bankruptcy in Florida, had ties to Florida and was here, but was over in Haiti, and that he hired these people for security guards, and then they went in and took out the president. And he had long-time plans to take over the country, and he would be their new leader. And hired all Spanish-speaking people. At the same time, I just want to point out that Haiti was also one of 3 or 4 countries that denied certain things that the rest of the planet is doing. And then magically, between March 17th and today, all 4 of their leaders have disappeared or been buried. So just pointing that out. But other than that, you don't go with the flow with, world government, then then you go with the flow with the cement shoes. They got killed, mofo. Sorry. Especially those wearing earphones. Again, with Haiti, we're going to see what happens. We're going to be following it. But essentially, they are saying that they're setting us up to let us know that they're going to go in with U.S. troops. They already sent FBI and others to to investigate. So we'll see what happens. And then Death Valley had planet's hottest 24 hours on record Sunday amid punishing heat wave. So Death Valley, one of the hottest places already, actually got hit with record heat. It says, check this out. When dawn broke Sunday in Death, California, the low temperature was a sweltering 107.7, the highest recorded in North America. By the late afternoon, the mercury had swelled to a blazing 128 degrees. It says the combination of the two produced the highest daily average temperature observed on the planet of 118. Astonishingly hot temperatures occurred amid the punishing heat wave in the West, focused between interior Oregon, Central Valley in California, and southern Nevada, intensified by human-caused climate change. The heat wave is fueling fast-moving wildfires and only slowly abating. Get ready for those rolling blackouts, people. We already smelled fire in our state yesterday. I did not smell it today. I'm guessing that's because of the wind habits, but I'm already assuming that we have a good amount of fires that are going to be started or, forcefully started, So we'll see. Dex, if you had anything to say about that, you can pop in if you want. But again, I think we know what's going to happen.
That's just hot, dude. Hot.
And then check this out. This is unbelievable. Unrecognizable. Lake Mead, a lifeline for water in Los Angeles and the West, tips toward crisis. By the way, this is the line where it normally is. As you can see, it's all the way down here. It's pretty drastic. Yeah, it says the close-up view of the bathtub ring. This is normally underwater, so it doesn't get as much sun, so it's a different color. Again, it is now, just to get the numbers out of this, because it just goes into this, this writer kind of embellished it. It says, I could have sworn I was here just 6 weeks ago catching smallmouth and bigmouth bass, said the 35-year-old fisherman who runs tours on this 247 square mile basin where the Colorado River meets the Hoover Dam to form the nation's largest reservoir. He pointed ahead to what looked like dozens of tiny steps made from successive layers of dried mud, now covered in tall grass and weeds, the effect of rapidly creeping vegetation over a shoreline that has been dropping rapidly. It actually has been dropping by nearly a foot a week. And they say that's because of the temperatures and the of course, it going up into the sky.
And I think it says here that if it goes down 28 more feet in the next year, then California will end up being sort of cut off because it will be at a critical level that it won't supply them.
So for a couple of years now, I've known, I was told by somebody who worked at FEMA previously, they said that they were told upwards of 5 years ago that within 10 years, we would need desalination plants all over the place, that we would not have access, or they don't have the infrastructure. Basically, they were told that if we don't change infrastructure right now, which they don't fix anything until it's broken, that we are going to be in this disastrous situation for water. And this person thought it was almost done on purpose because even back 10 years ago, they could see it and they saw that they needed to make improvements. They needed to place certain things here. They needed to spend billions of dollars to reshape things, to redirect things, and they haven't. It is cold. I mean, it can make poor places poorer. It can make nice places poor. It can make, water is a huge resource. Water is a huge, of course, thing that can change the layout of the land, especially property values, everything else. They can take, you can wipe out whole communities by taking the water away from their community. We've seen it. In fact, just the other day, I was watching this story about this town that was this booming town. I believe it was in Oregon or somewhere else. It might have been in Nevada. It's this abandoned town, and basically what happened is one little accident dried up the water that went through town, and without it, they couldn't survive. So all these people moved and went there, and then the second the water ended, it was like, boom, they were done. It was like everybody left everything how it was. There's a lot of little cities like that. If there was no water, it's done. So who knows? Maybe this is being done, not saying that this is being done, but you guys get what I mean. Let's see here. Stephen McMahon says EMP has been in center of national discussion for 10 years and has done us nada. Either they have a way to counter or they want us to die. Stephen McMahon, good point. Ace Maduro, Event 201. CV, now Cyber Polygon. Amazon, the start. Ace Maduro, as far as that goes, I don't think Amazon's barely anything. I think if we see the start of kind of what Cyber Polygon is preparing for, I don't think you'll be watching me. I think that you'll be trying to watch me, and then you'll try to call your family, and then you'll try to call your wife or husband or whoever, and you won't be able to. Let's see here. Stephen McMahon, isn't that just absolutely insane? Let's see here. And then Marky Sparky says this is all being planned. Flossie from Vermont says, love your channel, been watching since FEMA video. Can we love bomb Munder? He's back as Henry Who Rang. What a funny dude. Henry Who Rang. Yeah, guys, go check out Henry Who Rang. He needs to get to 1,000. Please help. God bless Foogle fam. What happened to him in the first place? I didn't know he got taken out. And then please look into MGT 433 isolation and quarantine from communities from the RDPC. Gunpowder Productions, I actually talked about that yesterday. I was mentioning that we didn't actually find that document. Dex, did you ever find that? And if you didn't,
no, I did not. It's
MGT 433 isolation. Just Google that and then see if we. That is really freaky. Again, shout out to Lisa Haven, who actually covered that, I believe, like 30 minutes after it came out. So if you haven't checked out Lisa Haven, make sure to go check her out. Thank you so much for Marf and Dex for all you do. Much love, Foogle fam. Silly Gurgle, I appreciate that. Gone Girl 777 doesn't even need Gone Girl. Holy moly, it says, hi, love you all. They deleted my Gone Girl 777 channel completely. GG777 PRS is the new one. I lost everything starting over. I'm not going away. I'm working on something. I'll catch the replay. Love you, Foogle fam. Gone Girl, I guess you were posting, right? So I wonder, DM me what you ended up doing to get that thing, bounced. And then we've got Woman of Wonder, Operation Northwoods. Freaky. Kate Paul, it's anything is possible universe, so expect the impossible. I love the attitude. And then Diana Moses, and of course Ace Maduro says, okay, I got that one right. Thank you. And Diana Moses, thank you for the cup of coffee super chat there, or super sticker. All right, Dex, I wanted to say a very special thank you to Tower Bear. We don't care. Lisa K 23 says, remember the movie Wag the Dog? That is basically a true story with a different name, right? Tower Bear, hello fam, much love to everything. If you haven't seen Wag the Dog, you need to see it because it does show you kind of what they do. Same with the show. What is it? House of Cards, I think. House of Cards, is that what it is? Basically, the one with the now gross weirdo Kevin, what's his face? But that shows you the real kind of stuff that happens, and I believe that is real. As far as taking people out, assassinating people. And then Bear Claws, thank you. We've got Kit Scat, Kishara, and Andrea22. Thank you so much. Divine1122, thank you for your support. Eyes Wide Open, Light of Love. Major fires have made skies black for days. Divine1122, send pictures. I'd love to show them on the show. And then Mountain Mama says, love your show. Thanks, Adam and Dex. Vault111 says, good to see you, brother. That you're having a good stream. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And then Maui Racing Realtor, thank you. All right, and then Dex. Scary.
I got that link. The rural training link is in screener.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. We were trying to get this on yesterday, but I didn't have the proper thing to give Dex because I found this, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I saw that Lisa Haven had already put out something on it. I mean, incredibly fast. She's really a amazing person in on and off camera. All right, let's see here. Check this out. All right, this is the official page right here, folks. All right, let me close this other one. This is a look at this. AWR, small vessel security for rural communities, hazard planning for animal control. Let's see here. Dex, is there a place that
Now try the link again. Maybe it didn't come out. You didn't copy the whole thing.
Oh, I think it went to. No, you put in the. I would change the link. Let's see here. It's just ruraltraining.org.
It's all right. It got messed up in there, but I got a new one in there for you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, it didn't have the extension. Okay, so this is MGT433. Look at this. Okay. You want freaky here? Check this out. It says this 8-hour instructor-led course is designed to provide the knowledge necessary to begin planning for situations requiring the isolation and quarantine of a large portion of a local rural population. This training will provide public and private sector emergency managers, community policymakers, public health, and public safety personnel with the general knowledge necessary to begin planning for situations requiring the isolation and quarantine of a large portion of a local rural population. A rural community's ability to collectively respond to an emergency requiring isolation and quarantine is not only essential to minimizing negative impacts to the community at risk, but also minimizing the long-term negative economic and health effects on the American public as a whole. Do you know why they would need that? Maybe something released? Or people that are out. I mean, this is just freaky. And if you say, oh, it's just a training. Guess what they train for? Guess what they prepare for? They prepare for what they believe is the most likely threat. They prepare for the most likely scenarios. They try to prepare for the most efficient way to prepare themselves for. So this is a big course. In fact, the amount of people that are participating in this is unbelievable. So why are they preparing to isolate rural communities? Ask yourself that. And then we have scary fuel shortage. By the way, you can, if you want to tell somebody about that, or if you're trying to find the episode to share that clip, if you want to share, this is a perfect instance. If you type in MGT333 into our search after this show, it will bring you to this show. And then you'll be able to find where that actually is. That's a great way to use it. And then scary fuel shortage could ground firefighting aircraft. Oh, this isn't a setup. Obviously, yeah. So we're not going to have gas to fight the fires. So we're going to have a worse year than last year, of course, when all of these fires pop up, and then they're going to start its climate change. And then the UN will say, well, we can come in and we can step in. We can isolate your rural areas. I'll isolate your rural areas. That's what she said. Boise, Idaho, airport officials facing jet fuel shortages are concerned that they'll have to wave off planes and helicopters that drop fire retardants during what could be a ferocious wildfire season, potentially endangering surrounding communities. Sporadic shortages at some tanker bases in Oregon and Utah have already been reported. The worry is that multiple bases go dry simultaneously during what is shaping up to be a very busy wildfire season in the U.S. West. Tanker bases in Arizona, where many large fires are burning, have also had jet fuel supply issues in the last month. Dex, does this mean that what we were talking about last week?
They have the same problem that we reported on, which is the fact that the fuel supply was less in demand during CV, so therefore production was down. And now, even with travel increasing, it hasn't recovered. So therefore, there's a shortage in the sense that they're not typically stocked for as much fuel as they would expect, right? And it's not being produced as fast.
Okay, but what else? Also, it's kind of funky that there was, of course, that rumor going around that, after they got to 10% or whatever, just to shut off their pumps, or that we're not going to get any more after this. It's kind of weird. Yeah,
and what we had reported right before that was that the tanker drivers was the actual shortage, and because there weren't enough tanker drivers out there because of the obviously during the CV period, nobody was driving, so fuel usage was down, so the number of tanker drivers they needed went down dramatically. A lot of them changed jobs, a lot of them got fired or laid off, and then now they need them, and there's not as many people available.
Well, it seems like we're being set up for a really, really horrible summer. Divine1122, thank you. Scooby-Doo Do Right, thank you. Nana Deborah. Virtual Anna says, Marf, you are cracking me up tonight. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting. And then Jurley, Bear Claws, Two Rivers Crossing. I don't think I've seen you here before. Thank you for coming in. Rolovin, thank you. I haven't seen you before either. Thank you for anybody that's new over there on DLive. WIS Jen, thank you. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And people say that, but I really do. I hope you guys realize that. Make sure to put an M in the chat right now for our wonderful mods. They are doing an amazing job. They are trying to keep everybody peaceful. Just a reminder, we don't talk smack about other people. We don't talk smack about a creator, about other people. You should be trying to push each other up. Even if you disagree, then try to pass that kind of conversation. Don't get in this circle loop. You can do that with people in your real life. I want this chat to be somewhere where you can go and actually talk about whatever you feel like it's a safe space, right? Think of it as your little therapy room where you can say whatever you want. Nobody's going to say, that's BS, or just let people talk. I think that that's what we need right now. Instead, don't let yourself get into this whole millennial thing like, I'm offended. I'm offended. I'm offended. I'm offended. You're offended. I'm fending you off with my offense. It's just annoying. Everybody's so offended you can't say anything. So, again, and then there's a limit to that. Don't say there's somebody called the vice president, it had the something smella. And it's like, that's just disgusting. You know, I grew up with 3 sisters, and if you said that word, that, you know, you were done. And now I have 3 daughters, so it's definitely karma. So remember, don't say that word, and we're good. Capitol Police to use Army surveillance. And I'm actually going to get to this ransomware here in a second. Capitol Police to use Army surveillance system on Americans to identify emerging threat. This is so scary. Dex, let's get the next caller on before we get to these articles here. It looks like we have Cynthia Pillow. Let's get Cynthia Pillow on. Cynthia, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. So what's going on tonight?
Oh, I was wanting to just touch on some of the Cuba stuff that you were talking about. You had some articles on. I've been watching that for a couple of days now. That's like really upsetting. Like what's going on over there. Like they're out on the streets, they're starving them, their internet got cut off. So it's just like really sad.
Well, let me ask you this. Where did you see most of the news on it?
I looked up some news myself, but I also have a TikTok account. So I've been seeing a lot of the protesting and the people crying out for help on that platform. So it's crazy.
The only thing I haven't seen any of the TikTok videos, but you know who owns TikTok and what's running that. I also wonder how much the new TikTok stuff and how much these 60-second, 15-second videos that are on all the platforms now, I wonder how many of those could be or you know could be staged because they're very powerful. I don't know if you know this, but a meme, an actual single meme, is so dangerous that the White House, they're putting together task force on memes, and that's not a joke. It's because one meme, if it has a message in it, could be so powerful and share so fast. So I just wonder,
Yeah, and I mean they do a lot of censoring on there as well, like with truth and stuff, with other things that are going on right now that they don't want us to know about. So it's pretty insane just to see that. And I haven't been on there that long, but with all the things going on, before I repost something, I do look into it now. I used to not do that. I used to not be a big of a researcher, but since I've been following you for like 18 months, woohoo, 18 months.
Oh, congratulations. Woohoo. Sorry. Thank you.
Research.
Well,
Sorry.
Well, by the way, if you've followed me for 18 months, then you know that if I've shared something within like 30 seconds, it's like I look it up and I go, holy crap, I made a huge mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll correct myself. It's I do it too.
Oh, yeah. I've been, yep, I know you do it, and you're so amazing. I'm so thankful that my sister turned me to you, and that like I was prepared for CV with being, just stocked up, food, water, everything, because of just listening to you right before all that happened. And then with everything being shut down and we were locked in the house for like weeks, like we were prepared, and it was because of your show. And I really appreciate that. And you're always having your stuff backed up. And that's what I'm trying to do on my platform on TikTok. If I come across something, I'm going to go and research it before I post it. No, because I don't want to put out false information. Because I've seen a lot of people do that, and then they'll have to go back and be like, oh, I'm sorry. But you actually have something that's on your Too Hot for TV that I can't say that I posted on my platform.
So can we link your TikTok? Can you do you have a shout out?
Yeah, I sent it to Dex. He said he'll put the link on on the website.
Oh,
but
perfect.
I'm almost at like 3,000 followers. So
You have me beat.
I'm headed somewhere, I
I think I have like 4. That is me, by the way.
yeah,
I have
Yeah.
I made an account and then just let it sit.
yeah. Well, I did for a while, and then I started to come across the same people that, do what you do and believe in what I believe. And so I'm trying to just spread truth, and I do it with some research, and then I got a couple of funny videos of, me and my kids and whatever, but I try mostly to just stick on truth, and I don't post anything unless there's truth to it. So there we go.
Well, if you want to shout out the name of it just so they can find it without the link, go ahead.
Sure. So it's conservative Christian. It's instead of there being the N for conservative, it's with the letter M. So y'all can just go and search me up and look at my profile. You can follow me if you want, and you don't have to. But I did just find that Cuba stuff like very, very upsetting. I like all the stuff that they're going through over there. That it's just mind blowing that people can treat other people
and
like that.
And I believe they are, because of the way that government is set up. I guarantee you the people are being done. I just wonder, obviously they're spinning it from, hey, we don't want to be a part of a, communism. Instead, they're turning it into, oh, we don't have food. And this is at least what the people that are not only that living there, but also the people that have family there are saying that it's the reasons behind the protests that are being kind of twisted. There is people saying, that there's food shortages, but also that would be very easy to put somebody standing holding a food sign, and they probably are dealing with that, or a V sign in the middle of the real protests. You need one CIA agent to sit there with a specific sign and then say this is what they're on about, because every media will use that one video. All 6 families that own all media companies, they'll run that same clip and drill it into your head and drill it into your head. And now they have TikTok and all these others. So when you're swiping, you're going through funny video, ha ha ha, and then it swipes through to a Cuba video of throwing a rock and saying we are hungry. You know what I'm saying? So you never know.
Oh yeah. Yep. I'm very careful.
Thank you for calling in, and I hope a bunch of people go over. You definitely have more followers than me, because I think I'm at 4 or 5 followers. So
that's what my husband said. He's like, yeah, I got 4.
Maybe you can shout me out and help me out over on TikTok.
Oh, hey, I do that, by the way. I shout out every once in a while that you're on live and that y'all need to go check them out. So I hope
by the way, you can clip.
Sent some people over.
You can always clip my show and put it on TikTok. Somebody should be doing it. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
I'll do it.
All right. You have a wonderful night.
Yeah. God bless.
God bless you as well. Let's see. That was Cynthia Pillow. And let's see here. We've got Pinch Runner. But first, I just want to touch on, if you have not been over my Twitter, I actually, Dex, did you see the video that I got last night? I believe it was last night.
Which one?
The helicopter flying low through Seattle.
Oh no, I did not.
Oh my gosh! So you're gonna be.
I'm gonna go look now.
Okay, you know how? Let's see here. Okay, I'll tell everybody this at the same time. If anybody follows me on Twitter, they already know. So, last night or the night before, my days are just blending together right now with all the kid stuff. I was going downtown and I was shooting for a little part of like an extra scene, and then all of a sudden, Black Hawk helicopter comes flying at 400 feet, which again, our Space Needle is at 600 feet. The Smith Tower is like at 390, and almost all of the other buildings are 800 feet. It comes flying to where it was blowing stuff in the street. No joke. And not only was I in the right place in the right time to catch it, but a Foogle family membered by the name of Miss You're Fired not only backed it up, but got the radar and the flight name and everything. So check this video out. This is my own video, so I don't need copyright. Check this out. This is downtown Seattle by Soto, by Chinatown.
It's lower. That it has a spotlight, it looks like. It's lower. That it has a spotlight, it looks like.
I want to point out this building is at twice as high as where this helicopter is. And I want to point out right here, this is an apartment complex, and it is lower than the building. And the reason why I know it's coming out right here, I'm waiting for it, is because this is the fourth time. And you'll see this in the actual flight path. What it was doing is it was coming down onto a regular rooftop and then swooping on off. It was doing the same thing, doing a circle, and it got to the point where I was so mad. By the time I ran up the hill, I got this thing where it went whoosh. I felt the wind, and my card filled up. I got plenty of footage. I got 4 things of footage, but I would have got this shot as I was running up the hill of it going at about the height of this freaking street light. And there were people coming out of their apartment buildings going, "What is going on? What is happening?" This helicopter flew right next to people's decks. Tell me there is something not going on. I will call BS on you.
It's lower. That it has a spotlight, it looks like. That's weird. That's the 3rd time.
That's my wife, by the way. So then it circles around.
I think that's lower than it was. I think it's good. That's bizarre.
And then it comes out right here. So I actually have more video of it, including where it swoops through the frickin' street at the top of the hill. And then, so again, somebody said, "Oh, how do you know?" First of all, it's an all-black helicopter. But second, at the exact time, an actual viewer here, as I post it, they wanted to check my work. They said, no. Then they checked it, and they actually got the flight path of it and the call sign and everything else. And check out the pattern it was doing. I'm going to show you here in a second. Let's see here. Why is the... Check this out. So this is the flight pattern. This is the call sign. This is the time. And look at this. Altitude, 425 feet. One of them, again, this was, I think this is the second one he posted. It said still out. Look at this flight pattern. So this is down in Tacoma. Look at how many times it's swooping around and doing this. Well, then it went from Tacoma, it went down, and here's where I was. And what's so funny is it's like, boom, it's right there. This is the Puget Sound right here. This is downtown Seattle. It just kept going in circles and circles and circles. Then it swooped up here. Then it swooped down. This looks like a Cascadia exfil practice or something. I don't know what the hell this is, but it was freaky because you don't fly through buildings like that unless you're practicing to deal with something crazy and fast. Here it says it's a Sikorsky UH-60M Blackhawk, 40 knots, ADS BV2. Isn't that freaking crazy? I'm surprised you didn't see that, Dex. I have more footage that I was going to say, we should edit it together, because I also got that, people were just like blown away. They're like, how is it flying that low? First, somebody thought it was a hospital, like a medical helicopter. And then the second time he goes, why is he coming back through? This guy came down and he says, he goes, I swear to God, that blade was about to hit my window. It was at the same level as the guy's window, and he was only 4 stories up on a big hill. Why would you be flying that low? And there was no words about it, just this. So I'm glad that this viewer, by the way, thank you so much, Miss You're Fired, for finding that. Yeah, Mrs. You're Fired. Awesome profile pic. Thank you so much, at Mrs. You're Fired. All right, anyways, tell me there's not something going on. And I just happen to be down there and I catch this and nobody is reporting it. It's like, if I catch this just randomly being downtown, if I'm catching videos of asteroids and meteors coming in, it's like, that means there's more. I'm not heavenly divine to like be there at the right time at the right place. There's a lot of it going on. And nobody believes it because the narrative is that it's not. 17 million gallon spewage spill prompts closure of beaches north of El Segundo. I don't have to say too much about this other than that, swimmers, this is disgusting. There's these areas, of course, it says a power outage at the Hyperion plant. This is where it matters. A power outage at the Hyperion plant last night caused untreated sewage to be discharged into the ocean, Los Angeles County Supervisor Janice Hahn said. What is freaking out me about is the West Point sewage plant here had the same thing. And police and ambulances came down and told everybody to get out of the beach. It's like, why is this happening multiple times all over the place? I think this might be part of these hacks that are going on. That's just my personal opinion. I think that a lot of companies are getting affected that we don't know about. Dex, let's get our next caller on. It looks like we have Pinch Runner, first-time caller, thoughts on Cuba and China runs their internet. Isn't that funny? Calling from Florida. Florida man.
Hi there, Marf and Dex.
Oh, Florida woman. Okay, good. Pinch Runner, what is going on?
Hey, Marf, how are you this evening?
I am doing great. So what are your thoughts on Cuba?
Well, that's the beauty of being pinch runner. I'm just going to circle back like Jen Psaki for a second, is that people always think I'm a man online. So it's an interesting perspective in how they treat me and my information because I'm masculine. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah, longtime Floridian, came back to Florida, been here for 20 years, worked in politics, Wall Street, baseball, media. So a different background, and now in health and fitness. So I've been to Cuba actually in the 1990s, and I went with my aunt who lives abroad and my cousin who paid for everything. So we did it legally because you just weren't allowed to spend American money there. That was the Treasury rules. And if you went by an indirect route where you weren't flying from the U.S. or going from the U.S., you could actually do it legally. Now you can only do it as a cultural exchange, and they've shut that down somewhat. So the vibe here in Florida, which I have kind of my thumb on the pulse, is very, very pro-freedom, pro-Republican. Cuban voters tend to vote Republican. They're a dichotomy from the rest of the Latin Americans in this sense because they abhor socialism, tyranny, deprivation, human enslavement, and they make a huge difference in shifting the Hispanic vote. So they have a tremendous influence in South Florida, and the Puerto Ricans are beginning to dominate since the weather warfare of the 2 hurricanes that they had in Puerto Rico, driving them off the island so the elite could buy it up and the hedge fund managers could live there in that paradise. So now we have to contend with the Puerto Ricans all over dominating Central Florida because they don't like Miami. And then the rest of South America and Central America going all over Florida. So as opposed to Central Americans and Mexicans who are more indoctrinated and tend to vote blue. So it's an interesting mix. And even though they all speak the same language, allegedly Spanish, there are tremendous nuances and differences in words that they use for everything. So here in Florida, there's a tremendous march on freedom. Cuba Libre is the name of a drink. So it's just like, Coke and rum with some lime in it. And they're using that as their slogan. So free Cuba, a free Cuba, it basically means. So it's an action word, but it's also a noun with an adjective. So Cuba itself is like going back into a movie before you were born that you may have seen, on TV on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon on some oldie station. It was amazing, but the people are very educated. And when you see like a Cuban baseball player write versus a Dominican or someone from some other Latin country, they are very well educated. We deal with a lot of baseball players before that came from the Dominican Republic that can't even sign their names on checks and really don't have any idea about the contracts that they're signing other than being advised by an agent. So in Cuba, it's not only the regular education from elementary, middle school, high school, it's about superior higher education. And I have to say, pretty much better than our country. They have the same type of indoctrination toward Cuba that we have indoctrination of the changing of the history of the world that's taught to us. So the sum total of what I wanted to speak about Cuba today is basically that people like Marco Rubio are the mouthpieces for Congress right now because he's a Cuban American that was brought up by two parents who were humble people here in the United States. And every time I hear him speak, you can go to his YouTube channel. He has like 85 subscribers. We can send him some love if you can try to love him. And hold him accountable too. But everything he said about Cuba, I find echoing what's going on here in our own country right now. And for as much as he's trying to wake up Americans about the enslavement in Cuba, the lack of supplies, the control via the lack of pharmaceuticals, the lack of food, the lack of jobs, the lack of salaries, it's exactly what's the path that the United States of America is trending toward right now. We have so much that's going on. We have weather warfare everywhere, trying to drive people off the land that they're on and their homesteads into the 10 megacities that are being set up for UN Agenda 2030.
Try to keep it. Yeah, I know that we gave you a list, but try to keep it to if you have a word, try to replace it with the other words. That way we can stay on.
I missed one. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Oh.
You haven't yet, but
okay,
if you go into that, then you will.
Okay,
we have a word
replacement.
A longer
version of it.
Everybody knows there's a replacement word for everything, so you can still communicate what you mean. But no, I get you.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. What do you think of that training, the rural containment? Do you think that's part of it?
I saw Lisa's video. I researched myself the other day. I think it was a couple of days ago when she dropped that, yesterday or the day before. And I think she did a good job. I think it's absolutely frightening between that and there's a YouTube channel that has produces good short content. Some people only have 10 minutes to watch something called Circuses that I recommend. He went over the spy, what do you call the floaty thing in the sky that's not propelled? Blimp. The spy blimp that's going to be over Washington, D.C.
Oh, creepy.
That's going to be all seeing, all hearing, all eyes, all everything. I find it very creepy, and I think all these things are combining. I think everything that's going on here, there, everywhere as like a mosquito lighting from thing to thing is really not so much distraction, but people just need to start putting the links in the chain together and seeing how they influence one another.
Like I said, it's a bad movie. You can see it happening.
It's a bad movie, did you say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a bad movie where you can see what's going on. People don't believe their gut. They go, well, it's very obvious, but that can't be it, because then they're told it's not. It is what you think it's not.
Correct. And I just preach every day. This is not about righty-lefty. This is not about red or blue. This is about us versus them. And the reality is, if you think that any letter of the alphabet is going to save you from what's coming and what is here, you are delusionally waiting on something and being paralyzed while you sit on your sofa, eating your popcorn, watching the movie playing. Do what you can right now. What can you do to empower yourself to not feel so anxious after watching a podcast like this or a show like Marfoogle TV? Get away from electronics. When the show's over, of course, for Marf and Dex, get as grounded as you can in reality, in real relationships.
Meditate.
Seek community around you. Avoid problematic people. Grow a garden, even if it's just in pots. Get some food growing, whatever you can do. If you can't afford, supplies of number 10 cans of whatever company wants to hawk them to you in the YouTube ads, just start doing your own. Get a small dehydrator for $40 at Walmart and just start dehydrating some food. Even if you go to a farmer's market and do it, start being more self-sufficient. Cut the cable, get rid of the Netflix. Walk your walk. Walk what you preach. Your kids don't need that stuff in their eyes and ears. They need you. I just see so much people too attached to electronics. And I remember in the hurricanes, we had 3 hurricanes come through my area in Florida in a 6-week period of time in 2004. And in the first one, it was during the Olympics, in the Summer Olympics. And because it was no longer a threat to Tampa, because I'm inland, they cut the feed on showing the tornadoes that were coming and all the different rain bands and went back to the NBC Olympics. And I about died of a heart attack. It was just unbelievable. So, and then the people of Tampa were complaining because their Olympic feed was interrupted at some point for some sort of hurricane to come through. Anyway, we have all these weather events, and I've come to realize that almost none of them are normal. I remember how things were growing up, and I remember how things were back in 2010. Right now in Florida, we're slated to be one of the 10 mega cities in the United States of America. And if you see what's happened with the Puerto Ricans being forced off their island to come to America, everybody knows how it happened. Already dropped that one. Sorry about that.
Farming, I know everything from food to water.
And now
everything.
through politics, Northerners are being, lured to the South. I think there's going to be a big shedding out of people once the first hurricane happens here. It always happens. Usually the summer heat and rain chase people away, but the first hurricane does. We don't have the resources here, Marf. We don't have the water. We don't have the land. They're going to ruin everything we love about Florida. No green space. I mean, the east coast of Florida was built by a bunch of northern developers for the most part. And, the rest of Florida just doesn't want to be like that. And we have urban people coming to semi-rural and suburban areas. They've never seen a lawnmower, let alone pushed one, other than in a movie. So our demographics are shifting greatly, and all these events that you and Dex are covering on your show lead to the reality of what it's like to be in a place like where I live. It's one of the 10 mega cities. We're not the only one. Obviously, North Carolina is one of them. But there's enough people in California alone to take up the mega cities out there. So they want everybody else off of those for these flame events that are happening and the water rights. I mean, why do we have foreign companies owning water rights in the United States to begin with?
Or ports, or controlling ports. How do people not see the obviousness of it? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, especially Port Canaveral was sold at one point. How they could sell a port right near our rocket launching area here in Florida just amazed me. And the port of Long Beach was sold to the Chinese. And then when Trump put it up for sale and said, oh, no, you're selling it, he sold it to the Australians that are just one step away from the Chinese. They're controlled by China. So I don't know. I guess I was in my early 20s when I found out that they allowed foreigners to own large buildings here in America. I just thought that was just a horrible idea. And now as I look back on that and my naivete of my youth, I just say there are just certain strategic assets that foreign people should not own, or foreign entities should not own.
Pinch Runner, we do have one caller behind you, but I want to say you're absolutely right on that. And like we said before, like with Canada, Canada's going a step further than we are. Not only do they let China own huge buildings and properties, but they've also signed a contract with them that essentially lets China protect those investments, and they don't even have to tell Canada's government, police, or anyone there if they're going to bring in troops to protect it. So they can literally bring in, they say, hey, this is a 40-acre, a 40 square mile, property that we bought. Well, we feel that that's important to the Chinese government, so we can bring in 10,000 troops to the Canadian border, right on the border of the U.S., and they don't have to tell anybody because that's part of their agreement. They don't have to check in with anyone if they feel like they're protecting their own investment. And that's the deals that they've all worked out with everybody. That's insane.
Right. And that's the whole point about all of this, Marf, is that all of this stuff is a deal with righties and lefties and everybody else around the world, all worked out already.
Exactly. Well, Pinch Runner, we're out of time. We're getting to the end of the show, and I still need to fit in who's behind you. So, but I loved your call.
Have a blessed evening.
Thank
you so much.
Can you call back again? I would love. Don't be a stranger, please.
I sure will try. Y'all stay safe and stay blessed, and just don't live in fear. Live with love and live with a mission, just to do something every day that keeps you grounded. Take care and good night.
Thank you so much. I just sent a message to somebody today. I said, because they always deal with a lot of anxiety for a lot of this stuff, and there is one thing that you have to do. My wife gets anxiety, and she feels like her throat is closing up, and what I started doing with her is we started meditating. And I'm not saying like literally taking every sound out of the picture. I even have earplugs, and what we do is just turn off every piece of sound, even fans or buzzing or anything. And if you can't, then you use the earplugs, but just sit silently and breathe and focus on your breathing. Other than that, though, there's a lot of scary stuff going on. We can't let it bother us, and some of it you can't control. You can't control your body's response to what you're seeing and what you're hearing. So what you can do, what you can control, is the practice of stepping away from it all. Like she said, stepping away from the electronics. It sounds silly, but until you do it a week in a row, where you sit there for even 10 minutes, even 5 minutes, turn off all sounds, plug your ears. Another one is really good, is turn on the shower and sit in the bathroom with just the water. Or even sit in the shower with a towel over your ears so you just hear the muffled kind of water. That will help. I promise you. I learned that from a physical therapist, and it blew me away. I would sit there and that was when I was like 13 or 14, and I've been doing it my whole life. I sit there. Sometimes I'll even do it in the shower. I'll just cover my ears. It is very peaceful when you hear that certain kind of sound. It's like listening to a shell almost. It does help. And right now it's going to get into scarier stuff, because guess what? A lot of this stuff that we're predicting, we're archiving this because we're very confident. So that's why we need to be really together and push up. There's no reason to be pushing each other down, because we have way bigger fish to worry about. All right, let's get that next caller on. Looks like we have Nature's Bounty.
And Adam, we have less than 10.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Nature's Bounty, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hello, Marfoogle. How are you? But you can call me West Virginia.
I can't. I never could do the Nature's Bounty thing, man. I'm sorry. How are you doing?
I'm thinking about going back. I'm doing good. I miss everybody. What you were just saying about unplugging, I get that at my off-grid location. It is awesome. My phone doesn't work there. All I have is birds. It is awesome. But anyway, real quick, because I know you're running out of time. you were talking about the rural area annexation kind of holding back, block them off. Real quick, it wasn't on my agenda to say anything about it, but West Virginia is a very rural state. There's not a lot of jobs, but we have extremely rural counties. They are full of people that have been farmers and prepared in everything that we talk about for generation after generation. And I think the big key is not that part, but with there being such limited resources in our state for jobs, they're all vets. So what does that mean they have?
Yeah, that's creepy.
Because they're waiting for my generation to fade out to be able to push the biblical end agenda. And my generation is full of vets, rural, ready to go, and will defend, anything. So anyway, that's just my thought on that. So food for thought. Okay, my topic. With my off-grid location, the only thing I have not been able to shore up is a hot water system. So I called my local gas company to see how effective the propane run tankless hot water heaters were and how long a 500-gallon tank of propane would actually run that hot water system if we were very sparingly with it. When he found out we were kind of neighbors, then he was telling me that it was no fee except for the propane unless I didn't refill every year, and then it was $170 a year to rent the tank. And I said, well, I won't be refilling it because I won't be using it until it's necessary. He said, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. We all got the same notification. Every employee at this gas company, and luckily I work for them, has purchased 500-gallon propane tanks. We have the propane hot water heating system. We have smaller tanks. I have put in a outdoor wood heating system for my entire house because we have been told after August, anytime, we will be in the dark.
Okay, so
this is from a gas company.
Just so you know, West Virginia, a.k.a. Nature's Bounty, is a mod, but has not been around. And we knew that she was moving off grid for quite a while, and you are straight up going off. She is very level-headed. She's a grandma. She does all this stuff. But when she found it, she had friends. She actually got us interviews with sheriffs and things like this. But back when there was a lot of stuff going on, you may that, again, it's like, I would say definitely do the bigger tank because nobody's going to be billing you $170 if things hit the fan. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But we have. Is that the tank that's the size of a car? Is that the 500 gallons? That's what is up at our cabin.
Car.
It's up at her cabin, and I you know what? That will literally last you. I don't think. I mean, I at least 7 years haven't filled the ours, and it's like 1 or 2 showers here. But we don't live there full time, so I don't know how often you would use that because it's only used for it's actually used for the refrigerator too, the refrigerator and the hot water and the shower. But again, it's like, that is incredible. So why are these propane guys, though, too, buying it? That's creepy.
They were told after August, lights out, anytime.
That is very disturbing. Well, thank you for calling.
I thought it was extremely.
Thank you for letting us know.
Well, I don't have a big enough audience, and you do, so I wanted people to definitely heed our warning. That came from a gas company. This is real. It's not a conspiracy theory. The next point, speaking of conspiracy theories, over 2 years ago, you did a report that in the future, near future, we would be told that there are UFOs. And I never repeated that because in my mind, that was the craziest thing I had ever heard. Well, What have we been hearing? Bingo. Ding, ding, ding. You reported it first. That's all we've heard about. UFOs, UFOs, UFOs. Well, I have a very, very good friend that is a naval officer. And he happened to come home for vacation, and I was having this conversation with him about you reporting and how crazy I thought it was, and now it's here. And he looked at me and he laughed and he said, it is not true, but they are seeing something, but the something they're seeing and the something they're telling that they're seeing is to cover our very advanced systems that nobody knows about.
I could see that. Yeah, 100%. Also, you were... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I don't want to go off subject if you're finishing your sentence.
That was all. I was going to get to the
You were with me. You were with me.
Almost out of time.
Well, you were with me when we all were talking about it in the mod circle, and where the W, the H, O, and we were covering all this before CV happened. Do you remember? Even after we used to talk after every show with all the mods, which I miss, is that
me too.
Everybody got in the chat before CV happened, and everybody was giving us crap about putting a link for masks back. This is before CV happened.
Oh my gosh, you were the biggest fear monger in the world, and people were talking crap.
It created so many trolls in one night. We said, hey, everybody needs to get masks. Stock up on them.
Yep.
And then everybody trolled us, and this was 4 months before CV happened. I was the first one. I was at December 1st. I was at the hospital of the first victim, and nobody thought it was going to be a big deal. I told you.
Yep.
And I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but you know how we know. We want to prove to new people.
They even put it in chat that you were just fear mongering because you were going to start selling gas masks to make money. It's like, what?
Yeah, and those people...
It was lunacy.
In the very beginning, those people ended up paying $20 for a paper mask. So, whatever.
Yep. And my last point, real quick, everybody knows about the new door-to-door campaign.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Everybody knows
that.
For
the education, supposedly.
Yes.
2 days after that was announced, our illustrious governor of this state announced that he was going to implement his own door-to-door for the actual administration of that.
Wow. No, thank you. West Virginia Prepared Mind / Nature's Bounty. I hope people go over and subscribe. We'll put your links, of course. I really do miss. I loved hearing your voice. We need to get everybody together. I want Jay and Lisa and everybody, CJ Blaze and Trinity and everybody to get on the show. But it's really hard to put everybody together. So thank you so much. You know how it works. We got to get out of here before YouTube cuts us off.
I know.
All right.
I know, sweetheart.
Thank you so much.
But love ya. Be reading your Bible. Thanks. Appreciate everything you do. Bye-bye.
God bless you. Dex, I assume we might have been past. We're past, aren't we?
Oh, we've got like maybe a minute left.
Oh my gosh. All right, if you have not known, we have Marfoogle Jams where the live chat continues. It's actually running right now, and then we turn off the other YouTube channel. For gonna do a shoutro like we always do. Shoutro, if you're new, is where I say the credits. But remember, subscribe to Marfoogle Jams. We're actually going to continue being live over there. Big shout out to Anna Lily's mom. I will make you a song tomorrow just for that. Thank you everybody for being here. Dex, obviously everybody already knows it, but go over to the web only content. There is some shocking stuff over there. It's on our website, marfooglenews.com. Dex, why don't we key out a little bit early? We got what now? 30 seconds, 10 seconds left.
Yeah, we're right at the end.
All right, guys, have a great night. If you want to join us live for the shoutro, make sure to go over to either D Live or make sure to join us on Marfoogle Jams. We're also going to be putting out truth-related content over there, too. So much love, be safe, be prepared, and I'm Marv out.
Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet, cold tripping. Marfoogle got so much soul dripping. Don't get yourself flow wet,